All right. Good afternoon, guys, on the East Coast. Good. I guess it's still also afternoon on the West Coast and elsewhere. Thank you so much for watching. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And as you well know, we do have a special guest joining us in lieu of Spooky Movie International Horror Film Festival that is happening right now as we speak. So give me one moment while I introduce someone. Stand by. So I want to introduce writer director Hayden J. Weal. What's going on, man? Of the film.
Kia ora, Brandon. Man, how you doing? So good to
I'm
be
good,
here.
man. I'm good. Thanks so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. So first and foremost, how are you? How are things, and how are you doing?
Well, we're down at the bottom of the world in Aotearoa, New Zealand right now, and things are pretty good, which I feel guilty about saying. But apart from
Okay.
and um, and we're watching avidly as the rest of the world goes through some elections. I think you guys have a pretty important one coming up, apparently.
Definitely. And in speaking, of this of the film Dead, I had opportunity to see it, and I just have to ask you, just can you tell me how this came together? I understand that you co-wrote the film on top of helming it. So can you tell me how this film came together in the story?
Yeah, for sure. So I made a film, I think 4 years ago. Yeah, it came out 4 years ago. It was called Chronesthesia, or Love and Time Travel. I think it's available on Amazon Prime and iTunes and things like that, and YouTube. And based on that, we made that with no money, like $0. We would buy people lunch. It was just me and the camera guy, and we used lapel mics. I edited it myself on my laptop. He did all the visual effects. But it actually ended up, kind of like breaking even and doing okay. So we had so much fun. I really wanted to make another film. And I met this guy called Tom Sainsbury, who's a comedian here in New Zealand. He's a satire comedian, and he just has great characters. And so we just vibed. And short of being able to get actually funded, we don't have any studios here in New Zealand. And I don't really have the power or the representation to kind of pitch to any studios around the world. We have a film commission here, and their agenda is to push cultural stories, and we're both white dudes, and and it was a ghost movie, this idea. It's like a buddy cop ghost film. And while we did have kind of like underrepresented voices in the film and with gay characters and things, we didn't feel good about taking tax dollars to make this film, because that's our tax dollars support the arts here in New Zealand, and that's where the money comes from to make films. So we kind of teamed up with a couple of people to help us raise a very small amount of money, but a lot more than my first film. And we were able to like kind of hire everything we needed, pay everybody enough to pay rent, and then just did like deferred fee payments for everything, and just made a film. And it was an absolute dream. It was like 2.5 years of really hard work, and now it's finally out. We've been picked up by 1091 Pictures, who is representing us in the States, and now it's finally reaching people's eyeballs. So it's really nice to see how it's being taken. Yeah, that's kind of the story from beginning to end.
Awesome. And talking about all the themes that I feel that this film tackles, can you speak to that and having it still touch on a lot of those themes, but not having it not allowing it to be, let's see, allowing it to be preachy, and to allow it to still kind of get weaved into the story while still finding that balance with levity. Because I mean, a couple of themes that come to mind is just that idea of like loss and grief, and how each of us handle that differently.
Yeah, so I mean, we never kind of set out to just to like say anything, or we didn't want to take a specific stance on anything. We just wanted to make something fun. But also, you can't really just make an entertaining, fun hour-and-a-half long story and care about the characters without putting a lot of your personal politics into it and a lot of your personal feelings about the themes that you're dealing with. And when we're dealing with ghosts, because that was just a fun idea, suddenly that brings up the themes of life and death and what happens after, and regret, remorse, guilt, all these really, really heavy things, saying goodbye to a loved one, things like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess through not osmosis, maybe osmosis. What do you call it? Things just kind of get absorbed, like through the process of,
Sure.
because it was me and Tom, and then we kind of got a really great team around us to make the film, and everybody put their fingerprint on the movie. And because everybody that was involved with the film was involved mainly for love and passion, definitely not for money, it kind of meant that everybody had the opportunity to put their grooves into the film. And yeah, it kind of came out as an entertaining romp that kind of has some touching elements, and we're really proud of some of the stuff that we say in the film. Yeah, it feels like a nice kind of snapshot of where we are in our lives at this moment, I guess.
Definitely, definitely. And speaking, further about the levity and the humor that is prevalent, in this film. I mean, there's so much of it. One thing that I found fascinating is kind of, I guess you could say, the switch that you would commonly see in buddy comedies that are like this one, where you would always have, a lot of times you would have the straight character, your straight guy, basically acting as the person who's driving the story forward, and in many ways your character is. However, with our other character as well, a lot of times your character, would be the goofy guy, while our other protagonist would be the straight guy. So can you talk a little bit about that reversal, kind of that seat change, so to speak?
Yeah. Tom Sainsbury, who plays Marbles in the film, who's the lead character who's able to see ghosts, he makes me laugh when he gets flustered. Just as a guy, he's hilarious when he kind of acts flustered and when he's a fish out of water, that makes me laugh a lot. So that was always the plan, for the protagonist to be a fish out of water, and for the entire film. Movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang come to mind. Like, I really love how it's just an ordinary guy who kind of gets wrapped up in this murder mystery and has to kind of do something. Back to the Future is another great one. 17-year-old kid accidentally gets thrown into this huge adventure. Like the latest Jumanji remake, kind of these high school kids that are thrown into this game. That idea makes us laugh. So we wrote that in for the druggie. And originally when we wrote it, the stoner character was going to be played by myself, and the cop character was going to be played by Tom. And we went and we filmed a test. And I acted a lot more straight-laced, and Tom, who's gay in real life, played this like kind of semi-closeted or semi-like straight presenting cop. And it was funny-ish. Like, that dynamic was funny-ish, but the producers kind of watched him and said, like, Hayden, you really struggle to play lower status to Tom. Like, you're always trying to dominate him in the scene. And Tom naturally just wants to kind of be the submissive one in the scene. And so we kind of had a discussion about it, and we sat on it for a week, and we were like, should we just trade? We'll just swap characters. And there's like a little bit of political kind of issue with like a straight guy playing a gay guy nowadays. But we're like, oh, well, the gay guy's going to play a straight guy. Like, maybe we can get away with it. And, as long as we are kind of, like helping to represent underrepresented people, kind of, we feel okay about it. And we cast other gay guys to play straight guys and that kind of thing as well, which made it a good laugh, actually. So that's kind of just how it naturally ended up happening. It kind of just evolved that way. And Tom, as a hapless stoner who continuously makes mistakes, it kind of feels like he's in the wrong movie a lot of the time. We've got like this real serious like cop film, and
Right.
the stoner is just bumbling around, like making mistakes all the time. And that to me is hilarious, like, let's just treat it seriously. Let's have the music be really serious. And a lot of the time the editing will cut him off because we kind of want to give that feeling like this guy has stumbled into the wrong film. This hero is totally not meant to be our hero. We've miscast the wrong guy. Yeah, that just made us laugh.
Also, and then I was going to say, just to add to that, just the idea of, I mean, I'm curious in terms of how the story evolved. Was what you, and I don't want to spoil it here, but what you anticipated being kind of the twist, and or who you had as your villain or antagonist, had that always been the case, or was it something that evolved where you're like, you know what, this would be way more interesting if we, spun it this way?
Oh man, I wish I remember. I think it just came out in the writing process. We were just like, this would be real messed up and weird. And yeah, and man, it is weird. Yeah. Somebody close to me saw it, who's a relationship to me similar to the one in the film, and they were very put off by what we decided to do for the last third of the film. Yeah, I think that was how it came up. It was just like, it'd be weird and messed up and like give everyone a big shock and feel gross. Let's put it in there. Yeah.
So with that being said, that is quite a jumping off point. But with that being said, can you also speak to, we have this film dropping tomorrow at Spooky Movie International Horror Film Festival, at least our time.
Oh,
dropping awesome. Tomorrow. But with this film as well, can you also speak to, perhaps some other projects that are also happening as well? I mean, obviously you have this one that you're still, guiding in terms of its release, but are you able to speak to additional projects that are currently gestating?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know what? 2020 is kind of thrown the biggest spanner in the works of all time. It's like,
yeah,
we've all got these scripts that we're ready to go and these projects that are ready to go. And then suddenly there's just no way to get insurance for a shoot because you might have to shut down at any time. And we're really lucky here in Aotearoa. We've been able to kind of eliminate COVID. We've had no community transmission for so many days, and etc. Everybody's better in New Zealand. We're able to go out. I think everyone went and watched the rugby game the other day, and it was like tens of thousands of people. So that's huge. We're able to film things again. And Tom Sainsbury, who plays Marbles in this film, has written his own film, and he's directing that. And I'm starring in that with him. And we're shooting that currently. So over now, for the next 4 or 5 weeks, we've been doing night shoots in the New Zealand bush. And it's a straight thriller, this film. It's called Loop Track. It's about a man suffering from a nervous breakdown who constantly thinks that maybe something's following him through this hike. And that's great. And then there's, what else we got? We got like a script for a detective comedy, another one, but female-led one. We've got a supernatural family drama that's been gestating for ages. We've been rearing to go on that. And a couple of others. We've got a girl band body snatcher film. They're all kind of at like draft stages where we're ready to go. But who the heck is going to give funding for a body snatcher girl band film right now? Do you know what I mean? So we're just kind of waiting for someone to see it as an opportunity. And it kind of, it's difficult to get cast members from overseas over into the country right now. They have to quarantine for 2 weeks, things like that. Like, yeah. But I'm converting a van into a camper van for the summer. So like that's going on for me right now. So me personally, I'm in a great space with that.
Cool. So question. Yeah, I know you were talking about the one that's currently going now. Has that been put on pause, or I'm just curious, are you guys basically doing, that quarantine aspect that we're seeing or hearing that a lot of projects are doing currently?
We've just gone for it. So we're still shooting. We like in New Zealand, we had levels. So we had like level 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure. Level 4 was full lockdown, where you were kind of curfewed. You were only allowed out of your house to go get groceries. We did that until like community transmission and contact tracing looked like things were okay for us to open up a little bit. Then we stepped down to level 3, level 2.5, which is, mandatory masks on public transport, that kind of thing. Level 2, and now finally we're at level 1, which is almost life as normal, but just being a lot more vigilant about social distancing and contact tracing. And so we're able to film. Like there's a big group of about, I think, 12 of us on set. So it's not a huge crew. We're keeping things really tight. And we sign in every day to make sure everyone knows where each other are at all times. And we've been filming. That hasn't actually upset the apple cart too much in that regard. I mean, they wanted to shoot earlier this year. It just got pushed and pushed and pushed. But availability isn't a problem because, I mean, no one's doing anything anyway. So as soon as you're ready to shoot, it's like, who's keen? And everyone puts their hand up. So it's been going great.
Awesome stuff, man. Well, Hayden, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you, coming on board, dealing with our, crazy time zones that we are both dealing with to come together and chat about the film. Before I let you go, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yeah. Jump on Instagram. I guess that's the easiest. It's my personal one, or my website, which is haydenjweal.com. I keep everybody kind of updated about where you can find the film there and what's coming up next. I wish I could be there in person, man. I wish I could have flown over and hung out in the States for a little while. I was really looking forward to that. So hopefully in the future. Fingers crossed, man.
Fingers crossed, absolutely. Well, again, like I said, thank you so much, man. There you guys have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you can find us here on Facebook, which you're watching now. However, you can also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, of course, and on Instagram at Mover Shakers Unlimited. You can find me, Brandon Troy ENT, on Twitter, and Brandon Troy _ENT on Instagram. Thanks again for watching, guys. Be safe out there, and see you soon. Bye.
Movers and Shakers. Love it. Cheers, man.
Later.